Now, that may sound crazy, but I'm going to read you something from their brief. Listen to this. They say, freak-offs and hotel nights were highly choreographed sexual performances involving the use of costumes, role play, and staged lighting, which were filmed so Combs and his girlfriends could watch this amateur pornography later.
Sean Combs is on the verge of being released from federal prison. Not in 2028 when his sentence is scheduled to end, and not because of a successful appeal. Within the next few days, sources inside the White House have told CBS News that Donald Trump is privately considering granting Diddy a full pardon as part of a package of up to 250 clemency decisions expected around the July 4th weekend. The pardon team is set to meet on Friday afternoon. The decision is reportedly being made as you watch this. If it is approved, as several insiders believe it will be, the man who was convicted on federal charges, who was seen on hotel surveillance footage physically assaulting Cassie Ventura, who is accused by multiple women of abuse over several decades, who operated a system that exposed children to predators, that man could soon be free. Reports claim his family is celebrating, while his alleged victims are living in fear. And the message from the highest office in the country could not be more obvious. If you are wealthy enough, influential enough, and powerful enough, the rules no longer apply to you.
And to be honest with you, this is going to be a great PR thing for Trump. So how do things get leaked? They get leaked when people want you to know what might be happening. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now, at the same time as this news came, like literally right before this news broke, there was a notice filed by Diddy's attorney, Alexandra Shapiro, who is in charge of his appeal. And they basically just put the court on notice that in 4 to 6 weeks, they're going to be appealing the sentence.
This is my perspective. If this pardon is granted, it is not about justice. It is not about compassion. It is not about giving someone a second chance. It is about influence and power. Donald Trump and Diddy moved within the same social circles for many years. New York City, the Hamptons, the music scene, exclusive parties, and the world of billionaires. Trump has publicly acknowledged that they had a friendly relationship. I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great, and seemed like a nice guy. Those are his own words. They attended the same parties. They did business in the same circles. They were part of the same world of wealth and privilege, where accountability often seems to apply only to everyone else. Now, one member of that circle is facing legal trouble, while another holds the authority to grant a pardon. This is being presented as more than a coincidence. According to this view, it reflects the way the system has operated for years. Here's the timeline of what has happened so far. Diddy was convicted in July 2025 on 2 counts under the Mann Act for transportation to engage in prohibited commercial activity. The jury found him not guilty on the more serious charges of racketeering, conspiracy, and trafficking. He received a 50-month sentence at Fort Dix in New Jersey. His appeal was argued on April 9th before a 3-judge panel, which described the case as exceptionally difficult. A decision has not yet been issued.
Saying it in court, not sucking up the president in court by Diddy, but then using a back channel to get to him would be a more less embarrassing way to get this done.
As impervious as Donald Trump is to criticism, and to his credit, he just doesn't let things get to him at all. People criticize him. He doesn't seem to be bothered by it at all. I thought it would be too transactional for...
But Diddy did not wait for the appeal process to play out. Instead, he submitted a formal clemency petition to Donald Trump. Trump confirmed this himself during a January interview with the New York Times. At that time, he said he was not considering a pardon. That was in January. This is July, and something has changed. What changed is the political calendar. July 4th, 2026 marks the 250th anniversary of the United States. Trump is reportedly planning a major clemency initiative, 250 pardons to coincide with 250 years. That is the message and the branding behind it. In a wave of 250 clemency grants involving environmental offenders, white-collar criminals, political allies, and January 6 defendants, a pardon for a well-known music executive could easily disappear into the larger story. It follows a familiar strategy. Place the most controversial decision inside a much bigger event that is already attracting public attention. Trump and Diddy have known each other for years. They moved in the same New York social circles, attended many of the same events, and shared the same world of influence and access. Trump referred to him as Puff Daddy, not Diddy or Sean Combs, as if they were still part of that same social scene. In an interview with Newsmax, Trump said, "I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great and seemed like a nice guy." According to Trump, the relationship changed because of politics, saying Diddy became very hostile after he ran for office. Now Diddy is asking for something, and Trump has the authority to provide it. From this perspective, the ability to grant that request represents the very nature of power. CBS News reported on Friday that Trump had scheduled a meeting for Friday afternoon to discuss pardons. According to the report, the president's pardon advisors did not include Diddy on their official recommendation list, but Trump was privately discussing the possibility anyway. In other words, the professional advisors were not recommending a pardon, while Trump was reportedly considering it independently, outside the normal process, much like a personal favor. Now, let us remember who Diddy is and what he was convicted of, because discussions about a pardon often shift the focus to words like clemency, mercy, and second chances. Those terms can make people lose sight of the underlying events. In 2016, hotel surveillance footage captured Diddy kicking and dragging Cassie Ventura in a hallway. The video was later seen around the world. Diddy acknowledged the incident and released a public apology, saying, "I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now." He also said he sought therapy, asked God for mercy, and was committed to becoming a better man.
That she saw no way out other than doing what he told her to do. He had mentally controlled her. It's like a pimp. Diddy had pimp potential. He had her mind messed up where it controlled her.
Cassie Ventura testified during the trial. She described years of alleged abuse. She testified that she was forced into situations without her consent and spoke about being controlled, her career, her movements, and her body, by a man she said used his power to keep her trapped. The jury listened to her testimony, along with the testimony of other witnesses. Dawn Richard, a member of CKING, testified that she witnessed Diddy punch Cassie in the face at a restaurant while Usher and other celebrities were present, and that no one stepped in. She said Diddy ordered Cassie to leave, and Cassie walked away injured in front of multiple witnesses without anyone stopping what had happened. Kid Cudi also testified. He told the court that his car was destroyed by a Molotov cocktail after he dated Cassie during a break in her relationship with Diddy. His vehicle exploded in his driveway because, according to the testimony, Diddy viewed Cassie as his property. Usher was sent to live with Diddy when he was 13 years old. 13. He later described seeing things he could not understand at the time, rooms filled with what he called curious, wild, and chaotic scenes. He was still a child. Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, claimed that Diddy once sent Usher to the hospital. Usher was also photographed shirtless at Diddy's parties, and he has never fully explained what took place during the time he spent with Diddy. His body language in resurfaced footage has led many people to draw their own conclusions. According to the narrator, these are not rumors or conspiracy theories, but matters supported by court records, witness testimony, sworn statements, surveillance footage, and a federal conviction. The man accused of operating a system of abuse over many years, involving some of the biggest names in the entertainment industry, is now reportedly being considered for a presidential pardon by someone who once socialized with him.
So what they're saying is, look, if you want to use the Mann Act to prosecute people who are moving to cross state lines for commercial transactions, which again is what it's usually used for, that's one thing. But here, there's no commercial purpose. Diddy lost money. He ended up paying. The films were never distributed to anybody. The defense is saying it was for his pleasure and the pleasure of people who may have been participating.
And consider what the alleged victims are experiencing right now. While reports claim Diddy's family is celebrating, preparing for his release, planning a welcome home, and getting ready for the cameras, the women who testified against him are reportedly living in fear. These are the women whose names appear in court documents, who risked their careers, their safety, and their privacy to speak about what they said happened to them. They are now watching the president consider releasing the man they accused of abusing them. According to the narrator, they are frightened, not only of Diddy himself, but of what his release would represent and the message it could send to other powerful men who rely on their influence and connections to escape the consequences of their actions. Cassie Ventura reached a settlement in her lawsuit. She accepted an agreement that gave her some measure of control over the outcome. Even so, she still chose to testify. She appeared in court and faced the man who had assaulted her. According to the narrator, after doing all of that, she may now see him walk free, not because a court determined that his conviction was unjust, but because the president decided to grant him a pardon.
He broke him, let's say allegedly, but it was told by people in her camp that he broke Kim's nose on a yacht. So Cassie's story is Kim's story. Cassie's book is Kim's book.
Think about what that could mean for every other victim who is considering coming forward. Think about every woman who has evidence, who has testimony, and who has been waiting for the right time to speak. According to the narrator, the message it sends is simple. Don't bother. The system will protect him. The system always protects him. Your voice does not matter. Your pain does not matter. The only thing that matters is who you know. The people who spent years warning the public about Diddy are also watching. Cat Williams repeatedly said he turned down invitations to Diddy's parties. He stated, "You got to tell him no," and claimed that he had receipts. Eminem has referenced Diddy in his lyrics for years, suggesting that many people within the entertainment industry were already aware of what was happening. 50 Cent has been one of the most outspoken critics. He has been working on a Netflix documentary titled Did He Do It? And has continued posting about the trial without backing down. According to the narrator, these are not simply critics looking for attention but people from inside the industry who believed they saw what was happening and tried to warn others. Now, the man they warned people about could be released after submitting a clemency request to the president. The narrator then addresses the arguments likely to be made in Diddy's defense. Some will point out that he was acquitted of the most serious charges. Others will argue that he received only a 4-year sentence, that the punishment was comparatively light, and that he has already served a substantial portion of it. They will also argue that the presidential pardon power exists for situations like this, where some believe the punishment does not fit the crime, where questions remain about the fairness of the trial, or where mercy is considered appropriate. The narrator then offers a response to those arguments.
I'm happy to go. So we think that's just absolutely inconsistent with the jury's verdict. I mean, the jury's verdict was resoundingly clear. There was no trafficking, there was no racketeering, everything was consensual, everything was adult, which is why he was convicted only of the offense. What we feel happened today was that the judge acted as a 13th juror, one that we did not choose, and that he second-guessed the jury's verdict.
First, an acquittal is not the same as innocence. The jury delivered a split verdict. They found Diddy guilty on 2 counts while acquitting him on others. That does not mean nothing happened. It means the prosecution did not satisfy the required burden of proof on every charge. The civil lawsuits remain active. Witnesses are still sharing their accounts. The evidence, including the hotel surveillance footage, testimony, and text messages, still exists. A pardon would not erase those events. It would only remove the legal consequences for Diddy, not for the people who say they were harmed. Second, the 4-year sentence resulted from legal sentencing guidelines, not because the conduct was considered insignificant. The judge weighed the factors required under the law. The defense argued for a shorter sentence, while the prosecution sought a longer one. The final sentence was 4 years, and Diddy has served approximately 2 of those years. According to the narrator, 2 years is a short period in comparison to decades of alleged abuse and a system that allegedly harmed many people. The narrator argues that 2 years does not represent justice, but is instead a minimal consequence for someone who built an empire through exploitation. Third, the presidential pardon power exists to show mercy. But the question, according to the narrator, is mercy for whom? Mercy for the person who is convicted, or mercy for the victims who may have to watch the man they accuse of abusing them walk free. The narrator argues that every pardon reflects a choice about whose suffering is given greater weight. From this perspective, granting a pardon would place Diddy's suffering above Cassie Ventura's, Dawn Richards, and the suffering of every woman who has come forward, as well as those who have not. The narrator contends that this is not an act of mercy, but an exchange built on influence, access for access, and power for power. Fourth, and according to the narrator the most troubling point, is that this possible pardon is not being considered in isolation. It comes in the context of a president who has previously granted pardons to political allies, business associates, January 6 defendants, and individuals whose attorneys were connected to his inner circle. The narrator argues that the pattern is clear. Clemency under this administration is presented as being driven less by justice than by loyalty, personal connections, and access to the right people at the right time. In that view, Diddy, a man known for spending decades building relationships with influential figures, understood exactly who to ask for help.
I thought it would be too transactional for him to call out the president in court and expect the president to then return the favor with a pardon. I thought it was better to do it back channel and then end up.
Well, now we're going to find out. Here's a
now we're going to find out if it was more effective.
Stop. No. Donald Trump wants somebody to bend the knee when they were his opponent, which Diddy was.
Yeah.
And all Diddy had.
And this is the part that stands out to me the most. There are thousands of people in federal prison who have served longer sentences than Diddy for offenses that were far less serious. Nonviolent offenders, first-time offenders, people who could not afford the best legal representation, and people without influential connections. Many of them have spent years waiting just to have a clemency petition reviewed. They do not receive a phone call from the president. Their cases are not discussed during a Friday afternoon meeting. They cannot send a letter and have it personally acknowledged in an interview with the New York Times. They simply remain in prison and continue waiting. But Diddy, A multimillionaire with connections in the Hamptons and a network of powerful associates receives the meeting, the discussion, and potentially the pardon. According to the narrator, that is not equal justice, but a two-tier system presented as fairness. According to the narrator, this is what is really happening. Donald Trump and Sean Combs are not strangers. They have long been part of the same circle of wealthy and influential people in New York, a world of private jets, Hamptons parties, and people who rarely face consequences. Trump said it himself, "I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great." They shared the same social circles, attended the same events, and understood how power and influence operate. Now Trump is president, Diddy is in federal prison, and a single decision could change everything. Diddy submitted the clemency request, and Trump is reportedly considering it. Although the pardon team has not recommended granting it, Trump does not need their approval. As president, he has the authority to make the final decision. According to a White House official quoted by CBS News, he can sign the pardon himself. He could do it on Friday, on Saturday, or as part of the July 4th celebrations while daring critics to challenge the decision. The narrator argues that the timing is deliberate rather than accidental. 250 pardons, a celebration of American independence, fireworks, speeches, patriotism, and the 4th of July, the day the nation celebrates freedom. At the same time, a man convicted of federal crimes could walk free. The narrator describes this as a dark irony that is impossible to ignore. While the country pauses to celebrate liberty, the president could use that occasion to release a man accused of spending years taking freedom away from others. According to the narrator, few things illustrate the current state of justice in America more clearly. Buried among hundreds of other clemency decisions, between someone convicted of violating environmental regulations and someone convicted of lobbying for a foreign government, appears the name Sean Combs.
Free.
The founder of Bad Boy Records, accused of building his empire through the exploitation of artists. The man seen on surveillance footage assaulting a woman. The man whose former bodyguard claimed he sent a child to the hospital. According to the narrator, he walks free because he knew the right person.
Sentenced to 4 years and 2 months, but if this happens, none of that will matter. So we will have to wait to see what happens.
And you're gonna come home and be, you gotta come home and be Trump's hoe now.
Oh my God, 100%.
When they do that UFC fight on the White House lawn, you will be the performance. You will be the live entertainment. You will be shaking.
According to the narrator, Diddy's family is ready. The cameras are expected to be there. His children, Justin, Christian, and the twins, have stood by him throughout the trial, the sentencing, and his time in prison. They are expected to welcome him home and share those moments publicly. The narrator argues that the public narrative would quickly shift from that of a convicted felon to a father reunited with his family. In the narrator's view, the same system that protected him for decades would once again work to restore his image and protect one of its own. At the same time, Cassie Ventura, Don Richard, Kid Cudi, and the unnamed women involved in the civil lawsuits would be watching. So would everyone who had ever feared Sean Combs. They would see him leave Fort Dix in New Jersey, likely wearing a suit, getting into a waiting vehicle, and possibly speaking at a press conference. According to the narrator, that moment would reinforce what many victims have long believed, that the system is not built to protect them but to protect those with power. A presidential pardon, the narrator argues, would only reinforce that belief. According to the narrator, if the pardon is granted, Diddy will follow the familiar path taken by many public figures attempting to rebuild their reputations. He will give interviews, become emotional on camera, speak about his personal journey, thank the president, thank his family, and say that he has changed. He will talk about finding faith, and the entertainment industry will gradually welcome him back. A guest appearance here, a production credit there, an award show appearance, and eventually a carefully packaged redemption story. The narrator believes that within 5 years, the hotel surveillance footage will fade from public memory, the trial testimony will be forgotten, and the victims will no longer be part of the conversation. Diddy, the narrator argues, will once again be attending parties in the Hamptons alongside many of the same people who never distanced themselves from him. According to the narrator, that is how the system operates, not by destroying well-connected predators, but by rebuilding their public image. The narrator closes with 2 questions. If Donald Trump grants Diddy a pardon in the coming days as part of the July 4th clemency initiative, what does that suggest about who the justice system truly serves? And for the women who testified against him and risked everything to tell their stories, what do you think they are feeling as they watch the possibility that a single signature could undo everything they fought for?